Hello, Paul. Oh, what's up, man? I cannot hear you. So you're not. It's not showing as your mic activating. So might need to just check what audio device it's picking up or something like that.
Is that better?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Okay, doing well. I just lifted my microphone and put it back down, and that fixed the problem. So, good.
Technology, woo!
Awesome. So I am in the game now. I can invite you.
Awesome.
Uh,
Yeah, shoot me an invite. Let's look at a couple of replays while we talk about how the practice went. So I saw.
badly. I lost so many games. It was it was so bad. My MMR. I was even playing ranked, so my MMR has dropped like 200 points. It's been terrible. Not a reflection. Not a reflection on any coaching. Actually, the TVP strategy is the only strategy that has worked with any level of consistency. So, uh, it's been a complete turnaround. It's crazy.
Okie doke, cool. I mean, well, not cool, but good that we've identified it. We've written some shit down. I'm like, not cool, but it
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
Feels like you're struggling the most in TVT right now.
I
Yep, you need a
am.
game plan and a specific build, etc.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
I mean, I have two builds, right? One of them is 3 racks Marines, 3 racks proxy Marines, and that gets them sometimes whenever they're not prepared for that. And the other one is kind of a kitchen sink style build where I start out by building like a Reaper, and then 2 Hellions, and then just kind of stuff. But there's not really an organized game plan with TVT. It's just kind of whatever I see, I respond to. My TVT isn't going well at all. Um, so yeah, my
Okie doke.
yeah. So I can go through some replays, or we can just jump into a game. Either way.
I think replays would be great. So
Okay.
definitely choosing builds and sticking with them is going to be key. Even if you find, so for instance, like a lot of people have this issue where they go to a builds director and say, okay, I got to find a build order. And especially because you're not really used to learning build orders from any websites or anything like that and using that as a
Hmm.
starting point. And don't get me wrong, that's always just a starting point. Any build. No, even if you've got one of these like mad 7-page guides where they've like detailed, if this happens, you can do this. And like they're kind of exploring different lines of where the strategy can go a little bit. Even with
Hmm.
those guides, you still always need to make it your own. And sometimes you're like, this part of it I just don't like. I prefer to follow up with this thing instead. But it's always good to do that. Now, you've obviously said there, a lot of the builds have the previous Cyclone as part of the build order that's written up, and that kind of throws you off.
Yeah.
You can usually do the same build orders for most of those, just squeeze a tech lab in. So just make sure you write down the exact adjustment that involves,
Hmm.
and you can still squeeze out like a cyclone and see as long as it makes sense. But you definitely need to kind of, as you've written, and it's good that you've come to that conclusion where you've written it in your notes, you need to have that clear direction, right? Or it's so easy to kind of float around, and if things don't quite go our way and we're playing this very purely reactive or purely by feel, I think is a better way to
Hmm.
describe it, based
Yeah.
style, we just kind of end up floating about, and it's hard to kind of, especially if we're having a rough day where we're not playing that well, to kind of say, just you got to focus on my details of X, Y, Z, because every game's a bit different. It's hard
Hmm.
to, I guess, when you're sliding off the top of the mountain and you're like in one of those movie scenes and you're looking for like a root or like a rock or something to grab onto to hold still, and you've just it's all slippery glass basically. There's nothing to hang on to. Whereas if we have a build order, whenever we're having a rough day, it's much easier to kind of just go, hey, let's not even think about what my opponent's doing. Let's go get better on my build. So let's start with TVZ. Let's see
Okay.
if we can, throw up a few replays, especially if this, you said you lose to roaches a lot in the early game.
Yeah.
Beyond that, though, I mean, that's not going to be every game. How's the build order been going? Because this was a big task, is trying to really lock down this macro transition off this TVZ. What's been going on with that?
I either get beaten by I'm pretty, the build's pretty tight, and we can watch some replays, and I'm sure that there are examples of places that I can improve just the build order. But I've been beaten by early Roach Ravager, by mass Hydras, by Corruptor, Broodlord. Those are the three combinations, like early, mid, and late game, depending upon what happens. So I've got here's one here. So this is a Roach Ravager replay. Here I can't. Oh, here we go. Watch for the others. Here's a Roach Ravager replay that I saved.
Cool. All right, let's go in. It is actually Ravager, by the way. Funny pet peeve I have. Tons of people call it a Ravager. There's like an imaginary N that slides into that word, and just make me the lobby host. That's cool. It's funny because I have it's like an ongoing joke with the chat where I rant about that once every week or two. Where
It's not a Revenger. It's not a Revenger.
Exactly.
It's a Ravager.
Yeah, and people are like Ravanger, Ravanger, and I'm like, there's no end there. Oh. But anyways, that's cool. So let's get in. Let's take a look at these games, and let's take a look at it. So you mentioned there, I'm losing a Roach slot in the early game. I'm thinking about following up with Banshees as part of the build. So I guess what I would have really loved to have here as like a little bit of bonus would be like just any more information about the transition and your strong points, your weak points. Something like if you had a few notes like, keep forgetting my engineering bay is on time, still got to work on that, or still tightening up, this part of the build, because you're going to have those mistakes naturally, right? That's just kind of how they go. So
I have a hard time fitting in the second barracks, actually. I feel like that gets up too slow, and so then that slows down my Marauder push. And one of the things I've been toying with is building a tech lab on the first racks, building a reactor on the factory, and then building a tech lab on the next racks, and then slowing down my push a little bit more, but having more Marauders with my initial first push.
So I guess you're basically, rather than doing two waves, then you're kind of just committing to one bigger wave would be kind of the main thing. Okay, well that's definitely something that could work out. Let's just go through this replay and then we can talk about that. The important thing, of course, is consistency with grinding out the practice on whatever you do end up focusing on. And if you do make an adjustment, be really precise with that and kind of write it down. Be like, okay, I'm doing the build like so and so. So first things first in this game, I'm not sure if this is something you always do, but you actually skip an entire SCV here. So you're always meant to queue up your 16th SCV before your barracks.
Okay,
you can see
that's
here,
something I always do actually. So I can change that. I always build the reactor, or sorry, the
refinery.
Yes.
Yeah.
The refinery. I just missed the word. The R, right? The BR. Yeah. I always build the refinery before I build the racks, and so that puts me an SCV behind, but I get my Reaper out a little bit faster. So you're saying build the racks first and then build the refinery? No.
If you're going gas first, that's fine. You just got to keep SCV production constant, and your barracks will just be delayed by a few seconds. That SCV, when it finishes the depot, will just chill for an extra 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then it'll put the barracks down. The way this works out, and is if you do that properly, you will end up at 19 supply with your command center not building for a few seconds because you're waiting for the barracks to finish. You don't go up to 20, which some people make the mistake of being like, but then I'll be losing SCV build time, and that's actually shit. Why don't I just press? Accidentally dragged that. That's fine. So let's go back and check that. So there we go, 19 orbital plus Reaper, but we are down in SCV. Yep. Which is a shame. So that's going to slow down, the follow-up a little bit. And let's take a look. How does this unravel? We go CC. So we're going to go for the Reaper. That's going to be rallied into our opponent's natural. No worries. Factory's on the way. Barracks should have already been placed, so we didn't have to bother lifting it off. Just little things. Better to have everything planned ahead.
Yeah. I can do that. I've had a lot of games where doing that has allowed a few Zerglings or a bunch of Zerglings to get in my base and really ruin my day. But you're saying that it's worth that risk, like the extra few seconds is worth the risk of the Zerglings coming in.
Even if they 12 pull, like that's fine if they get in, because you can just kill them with SCVs anyway. It's only once link speed's done at past 2 minutes 30 that we want to make sure we have a wall. And you see if you're going to lift off your barracks and move it, that could actually be at a more dangerous point where that happens, where if Zerglings get underneath it and it can't land, then it's like, you know, it can really fuck your build up. So just make sure your build's consistent. So yeah, our orbital also didn't morph right away as well. So let's take a look at that just real quickly. I think we were just distracted by something, but we got to like, the second that barracks finishes, it should always be like bam orbital, bam Reaper, exact same time, right? That should always be linked up. So let's take a look. Sorry, not starting the orbital, it was dropping the continuing SCV production. That's what it was. So that's a bit more forgivable. But let's see, how many seconds was this? Yeah, a couple seconds, and we dropped the mule and didn't queue up SCVs. Maybe we didn't have the money because we dropped the factory. Not 100% sure. Not 100% sure there, but we also went for this second depot really early, which you don't need to do when you're going gas first. So what I see here is you're mixing up a barracks gas opening and a gas first opening, right? So I can tell because you've sometimes done one and sometimes the other, it's just not as clean. And they should be, no matter what matchup it is, it's gas first or barracks first, they both are a little bit different. There's a few little details that get adjusted, right? If you go barracks gas, even if you're going Hellions, you don't have enough money to make the reactor straight away after the Reaper. You have to make a Marine first. Your factory's delayed a bit as well because your gas mining's later. So you end up going Reaper, then Marine, then your factory, and then your reactor. And because you're building that extra Marine, you need your depot earlier and your refinery earlier, especially in relation to the factory, because the factory's coming down later. So the way you're looking at your build, you might not be noticing these little details, but it's really important to make sure you're 100% ironed out on those. And the next time you're watching pro games, pay attention to these tiny details in their opening. If you're just casually watching some GSL or something, and it's really useful. So, because I have two modes of watching StarCraft as well. Like when I was watching Super Tournament over the weekend, and the first mode is just kind of, I'm in and out, I'm doing other things, I'm glancing at the screen a bit, or I'm watching, but I'm chatting to my girlfriend or whatever, you know. And then I'm really staring at the build, especially for the first few minutes of the game, and I get a lot more invested in it because I have a better idea of this player's aiming for this player's aiming for this, and I really understand all the little minutiae of the build, and I'm kind of cataloging it. And I'll normally focus more on one player than the other, because it's hard to obviously look at the production tab and stare at every little timing of every little thing, but just ironing that stuff out can be huge. It can make a really, really nice difference. So we see here, for instance, we've gone a second gas, but does a second gas make any sense with this build order? Right? I don't think I told you to fix this last week because it didn't occur to me. And I was like, yeah, we'll just get the second gas at the normal time. But if we're going 2 barracks, like what is this gas doing, right? So this should be something, whenever you load up a replay, you should just be like, whoa, wait a second, what the fuck? This actually serves no function. Not just this, we're going for a super committed timing where we're walking Marauders across the map. So unlike the ones where the medevacs are there, and they kind of pick up the Marauders from secret, boost them across the map. Our Marauders take forever to get over there, but not just that, he sees everything with this Overlord. You've got nothing to get rid of it at all, no Marine, and it ends up kind of weird, right? So this is kind of fascinating because we're ending up in a situation where, definitely there's like, this build order doesn't line up, right? The gas doesn't quite make sense for us. And whilst this Hellbat timing is hitting at a pretty crisp moment, it's such a huge map, the Marauders are taking so long to get over here. So lots of little things that we can iron up with our build execution. Now, so we're committing here, and remember the big task that we said at the end of last week was really try to just A-move these pressures as much as possible, try not to over-micro them, and the focus needs to be on the macro. So what is the normal thing that you do as you're hitting with your first Hellbats and Marauders normally? What's the next step in the build order?
The next step in the build order right now is I need my next barracks up, and I need, which it looks like I definitely have more money for. I need a barracks up, I need my 3rd CC, and then I need a starport.
Okay, so we go for a starport. Okay, and then after that, what's the next step when we get the money after that? Say a minute or two down the line, whenever we have it. So say we've got the 2 barracks, we've got your 3rd command center, you've added a starport now as well. What's next?
I'd add 2 engineering bays and 2 Raxes after that.
And when do we get the gases on our natural?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so we need to iron. If we can just iron all this shit out, that'll be huge. That'll be huge for us. So definitely it's like, you know, if we stick with this sort of build order, we can. but I almost am tempted to just really simplify it to some extent and just do more of a defensive opening while we kind of iron out our own little build details. But you know what?
Okay.
You're already doing this build. I really want you to be the architect behind what style you play, because it still should be what interests you the most. But we really need to be focused on the macro behind the pressures, right? More than anything, because that's the big goal in front of us, right? The big task of the kind of next step in our progress is to get perfect macro behind the build, all the little details ironed out. We start knowing, when I do this, I've got to remember to add that and that. I got to remember the depot at this timing because my third CC just finished, so I didn't need a depot for a while. So it's easy to forget the depot after. Like, just like all the little tiny details that kind of expand your knowledge of how a build fits together, right? So it feels more natural. So we need to work on your macro more than anything, because you're a very wild, aggressive harassment player who kind of overcommits on the aggression and then goes, oh shit, let's go spend my 2,000 minerals, right? Historically, that's where you've been in this matchup. And it's worked out because you're kind of doing these surprising harassment maneuvers, but it leads to this very seesaw in your games. We want more stable games. We want to be encountering the same situation more and more. We want a bit of stability. We want to improve our own understanding through that stability as well. So we can break down... Oh, this Zerg went really high on economy, but I didn't hit my pressure at the right timing because of the supply block. So because I couldn't punish the extra 20 drones, they barely got enough roaches to defend the Hellbats, held on, had that huge economy lead from them being greedy, and then they ran away with the game, whilst I also forgot my upgrades, and I got supply blocked 3 times at XYZ. You know, that's the point where we can look at a game and break it down into, like, preset little details that lost us or won us the game, right? We want to get there. So I'm happy to stick with this build. We can also, if you want, just swap to a more generic build. We decided last week Biotank was the focus. So we can still do some sort of Hellbat timing and just do a Hellbat pressure and have a more standard follow-up behind it. We can do this exact same build, but let's just do it with the single barracks, not the double barracks, because that's kind of like taking too long to get up, and, like, you know, you're not even getting the second barracks in some games, so we don't even have practice for it. Even though it was a fun build, it's such an aggressive build. I'd rather we lean back a little bit and focus more on that spending. So do you want to just kind of do, like, okay, we'll just go Hellbat timing, but we'll just have a normal build. There'll be a starport, and we'll have, like, a Viking to just run around, you know, shift queued around the map to kill up overlords with its attack move, and then we'll get a Liberator after that, and then we can, like, you know, go siege a lib on the main. If this Hellbat pressure drags out, it'll maybe happen at the same time as the Hellbat pressure hits, if, like, we've been delayed for some reason. But otherwise, it'll just be a little bit of pressure that comes in later. They've defended the third, and then bam, your Liberators sieges up in the main. Maybe bounces around once or twice, but behind that, we're just going third CC, double engineering bay, extra barracks, extra gases, and gearing up for the big marine tank push. So does that sound okay, doing the starport style and doing a lighter Hellbat pressure?
Yeah, that sounds good. Is there still 6 Hellbats, or just like 6 Hellbats and then hold off after that?
Yeah, we could, like, we can be rallying a 7th and 8th potentially, or we could just do it like, oh, I just build an extra 2, but I leave them behind my wall at home just to defend any, you know, lings, and then I swap over. That's probably the nice way, because we want to be wary of situations where you're bleeding APM, right? So if you're like, oh no, then I got to rally these 2 Hellions into that base, and at the same time I got to queue that Liberator on the main while microing these Hellbats back and forwards, like, that can turn into a big APM sink and a big distraction from the priority, which is our macro, our build order, tightening that up. So let's focus on that build order, and let's really get that down. So let's hop out of here. Let's hop in an empty custom game, and then we're going to try to get someone. I'd love an opponent, if anyone who is around maybe 3,400 MMR, that general vicinity, because you're, what, 36 at the moment?
37. I was 39, and then bad things happened.
Hey, that's really not bad. Make me the lobby host, because, like, changing to this very drastic style difference, 200 MMR down is actually, like, not bad at all. It's kind of awesome because it gives you easier opponents on the ladder, and it takes the pressure off. You'll have, like, a slightly lower intensity in your opponents, just due to them being a few hundred MMR lower on average. Gives you more chilled ability to work on this. So just make me a ref, and
okay, I made you the lobby host.
Awesome. I'm going to actually invite Katawas. There's about 3.6 on EU. So I'm actually going to suggest them to the party as well. And I'm going to get Katawa to really just fucking sit back and do nothing in this game. But in the next one, I'm going to do a little bit more. Sit back and chill, please. Don't really pressure. Just defend. And macro up. We just learning a build. This one. You can do whatever the fuck you like from... I'm going to tell him from 8 minutes he can do whatever he wants. Cool. So if he comes and kills us at that point, he's fine. So, oh, you made me the host, so awesome. Go Zerg. Awesome. All right. Hopefully this hosts us up on a good server. It should. He's in EU, so hopefully it puts us on Central US or something like that. It's not too far from you. So I'll keep an eye on that at the start of the game. But basically, yeah, just do a gas first build order. So what's the first thing we focus on is just remembering to build that extra SCV. So it's a 16 barracks always. Otherwise, your build order looked just fine in the opening. And yeah, we'll get used to this gas first build.
Don't need the second gas.
Do you normally SCV scout against Zerg?
No, not typically.
Don't worry then. We won't bother with it. That's cool. Awesome. Yep, queue up the extra SCVs.
Okay.
Awesome. And we'll rally the next one to the gas. Queue up another SCV. Oh, actually, we can take gas now. Sorry. Fucking, no, my bad. I'm going to restart.
Oh, no, you left.
Yeah, no, on purpose. Hop out. I want that to be
out.
Yeah, I want that to be a tight fucking opening, and I told you to take the gas at the wrong time. Told you to queue up an extra SCV. So just host up again. Same map. Same situation. You can just make me the referee. You don't need to make me the lobby
if I hit
host.
Play again. Will that do that?
Yeah, that'll pop us all back in. Awesome. Because this is not even us playing an opponent, right? This is us getting a build down. We want everything to line up nice and crisp from the start. Make me a ref and start the game.
All right, you are. I'm gonna just promote you to lobby host.
Cool. All right, there we go. All right, good luck. Okay, cool. So yeah, just go for a gas first. Yeah, I'll write up the entire build order for you as well.
Thanks.
Over here in minute detail while you run through it.
So gas can hit now. And then that will delay the racks just a little bit.
Yep.
But then
Totally normal.
Now.
Yep. And queue up another SCV. Beautiful.
SCV ready. SCV ready. SCV ready.
Okay, after this SCV, I should have an orbital command.
Yep. Orbital and a Reaper. Beautiful.
SCV ready.
Ready for my CC.
Yep. After we drop the CC, then we'll go build our factory underneath the barracks. So let's get that SCV in position to build the factory.
Command center upgrade complete.
Supply depot?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah,
Reactor?
reactor? Yeah, so send an SCV to take your second gas. Queue up another SCV.
Second gas?
Yeah, second gas, reactor, and then go build that depot as well. So it's always after the factory, it's your second gas and then your depot. And we can lower that other depot. And we can micro the Reaper for a sec. We're doing the starport build, not the Marauder build. So that's why we're taking two gases, doing a more normal build. Alright, kill the drone and leave. Just click him away. Let's go focus on our macro. More SCVs, put guys on gas, swap the factory onto the reactor, and build a starport. So the barracks will swap off and build a tech lab, and the factory will swap onto the reactor.
Complete.
Orbital on the natural, very good. And SCVs, mules, and we're looking really nice.
SCV ready.
So we're gonna more or less non-stop build up to 6 or 8 Hellions. The starport doesn't need to swap onto the tech lab. Barracks can just idle for now. So we'll queue up a Viking when we can.
Complete.
Okay.
And once we queue up that Viking, basically when your starport finishes is a good time to send that SCV to the low ground and start your natural wall off. So we can
Okay.
start building depots at the wall one at a time. Very nice.
Okay. I scouted as third.
Yep,
SCV ready.
looking good. So we're just going to chill with our Hellions at home for now. So bring your Reaper home to your Hellions. They should all be chilling on a control group. Keep building SCVs here. We'll keep SCVs as the priority.
Okay.
And we want to start our armory now. So once you queue up your 5th and 6th Hellion like you have, we start the armory. As long as that goes down before the lib starts, that's fine. So let's get that Viking to start killing overlords. You can give it an attack move command to kill this overlord, the overlord in your main, and then across the map.
Yeah, I found 2
Um,
of them.
Yep, and queue up a Liberator. So we're going to queue up a
Okay.
Liberator and rally that to the very top center of the map so it can come into the main later on. Let's build 2
Okay,
more
can I-
Hellions.
Can I send my attack?
Yep, go across. Keep building depots on your natural. We should have been non-stop building those from the moment we started that other one. Awesome.
SCV ready.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we're
When
doing
that happens,
really good.
Can I throw down a extra supply depot? Or
Yep,
what?
absolutely. Yeah, as you did, which is great. So let's do the armory morph, the Hellbat morph in just a few seconds, and then A move it. Normally go towards the natural, but in this case we'll just
Oh,
A
really?
move from where we are. Yeah, because you want to hit drones and queens and stuff, the higher value stuff. All right, back at home, we want a 3rd command center in the wall. Let's pause.
Game.
Okay.
Why are we pausing? Because we need to know what happens next in the build, and I haven't even fucking written it down. So, because I'm
Yes.
walking you through and I'm making sure I tell you things at the right time, but this is also something when you're first learning a build where you don't want to be like, this stuff happening, yeah, because the moment you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be tempted to stare at those units. Remember, this is that moment where we exercise discipline and we say, attack, move the units, and do not look at them. And you should be doing this on the ladder as
A
well.
lot of discipline. It's gonna
Yep.
take a lot of discipline.
So you need to really enforce your mental visualization. For you, if we imagine this is a football field and soccer, you got to kick a ball into the goal, right? That's how you win. Normally in StarCraft, we think of that victory screen as the goal. For us,
Yeah.
it is, did I macro well, or to start even before that, did I A move my units and look at home? If we actually just manage to do that, that's the first step. Then we can move the goal to, did I actually put down my 3rd CC, eBays, gases, extra barracks all in the right order? Guess what? You're going to fuck it up for a while. You're not a disciplined player with your macro at all. Completely undisciplined. And even the
Yes.
most disciplined Terrans get distracted and they'll be like, oh no, I'll get upgrades faster this game. Don't ever listen to that voice. That voice in your head that says, yeah, no, I think 3rd CC will be better this time. It's a dumbass. That voice is stupid. Don't ever listen to it. You're going to macro 1,000 times better if you consistently do the same order of follow-up. Anytime you adjust that, like the number of times people do that, like, yeah, this will work out really well. And guess what? Because they change the order, their 2-2 never starts the entire game. And they're winning a late game and then they steadily lose. And they're like, what the fuck happened? Oh, I was on 1-1 from the 9-minute mark when my 2-2 should have started. And I just didn't realize because I just made this random change which gave me 1 extra SCV. And it was such a minor help to me, but it threw off all of my internal rhythm and timings. And Terran's big challenge is not, let's be the most perfect, efficient Terran of all time. It's, let's try and actually not throw our own rhythm off. Terran is the most rhythm-based race because we've got so much shit to do. We've got to put down our depots manually. You can't just grab a probe and queue up 6 pylons. You can't select your hatchery hotkey and build 7 overlords at a time. So we've got to be more focused on maintaining that rhythm and having a set order that we adhere to so that we can then free up more actions and brain space for how we use our units, how we engage, how we micro, how we do all the other cool shit. Okay. So I think this build is basically a build order that I do. This is a cool build order. Yeah. I often do the same build order where the Liberator would be out a little bit earlier. I hit with 8 Hellbats as the Liberator goes in, and then I'll land a Viking as well in a different base. We can level it up to that point way in the future. For now, we just need to fucking focus on the macro. So I think here's the... Now, I always call this the transition. Take a look at your document if you're not tabbed out already.
I will tab out and I
I
will look
always,
at my document.
I've been writing up your build here. Down on bottom of page 1, start of page 2. And you can see not everything's in order. I'll always do the sub points for what each structure does after it, just so you don't get your add-on swaps confused. So that's the way I write my Terran builds. If you like to do it a different way, you can change it, but I think this is one of the best ways to write Terran build orders, where it's like barracks builds a Reaper, it builds a reactor, it then swaps off and builds a tech lab. The factory swaps onto the reactor, builds 8 Hellions, then it swaps off and builds tank. Awesome. So transition is always what happens after the opening, right? So you've always got your opening, and your transition is just the order of the same shit.
I haven't built the tank. So
Yeah, that's all right. That doesn't. That's not the most. That's really just to defend a counterattack. So we can do that after these next 2 Hellions pop out. That's fine. You're always going to build 2 or 4 extra Hellions to just chill at home and make sure you're safe. Normally we would be walling off a bit earlier with that 3rd command center. You see, you're on 62 out of 78 right now. So normally after just about 2 depots on the wall, maybe a 3rd one, we'd be like walling off with a 3rd CC. But that's fine if we build it just behind the wall. So we're going to go 3rd CC. Then we're going to go... Do we want to go barracks or engineering bays first? Your call.
barracks.
All right. So we're going to go 2 more barracks up to 3 racks, then 2 E-bays, then 2 gases on our natural, because I think we'll need that, and then 4th and 5th barracks. Now, that might be a little bit hard to remember because you're not used to it, but that order, those are the things you always add, right? After your opening. TVP, TVT, TvZ, it's the same shit every game. The order of that for this build order, or, you know, in this matchup, I always do bam, bam, then bam, then bam. We've got to remember that and adhere to it. It's something we all underestimate how important that is. But I guarantee you, the games where you fuck that order up, everything is messier and your macro suffers. Probably half, your macro is probably half as good. At least 20-30% worse when you fuck that order up. So let's focus on that order. So close your eyes. Okay, what are the next things we add in the build behind this?
Okay, let me read it first.
All right, read it first.
Okay.
Read it out loud.
CC,
Yep.
Third CC, two more racks, 2 E-bays, 2 gas, 3rd and 4th racks, or 4th and 5th racks. So,
Yeah.
3rd CC, 2 racks, 2 E-bay, 2 more racks.
Yeah, I
Or
often
2
write.
gas, 2 gas, 2 more.
I often write like 2nd and 3rd racks, 4th and 5th racks. If you prefer to just write add 2 racks, that's fine. But I always like to think of it in those neat chunks where it's like, we always go 1 racks to 3 racks and 3 racks to 5 racks. If you ever find yourself like, oh, I'm going to build 1 second barracks. Oh, I'm going to come back later and build another barracks. It's the biggest APM sink of all Terran players. Because then you've got all your add-ons that need to be built at different times. And then the upgrades of those add-ons start at different times. And you've just multiplied your macro times like 6. Oh man, it's like the number of players who I've coached who would do that all the time. And I'm like, you just can't do this. You just got to be strict on it. Or wait for the 300 minerals, or just wait and stare until you've got the 300 minerals, put 2 down at the same time. If you have a miss macro, you've got 1,000 minerals, put down all 4 barracks, all at the same time in a neat row. You can come back 45 seconds later, build a bunch of reactors or a bunch of tech labs and reactors. And then those are going to finish at the same time. You can come back and start stim and shields at the same time. And everything's kind of chunked together. The moment we start throwing down individual barracks kind of haphazardly all over the place, oh, maybe I'll get a second factory, but it's like in this random spot behind our natural. It's too much work. We want these to be in nice, neat rows in our main base, thrown down at consistent timings. So this is going to be awesome. We're ignoring our Hellbats. At some point, when our Liberator comes out, we'll queue it up to siege up in the main, but we're not even going to look at it after we've queued it along the edge of the map and into the main, okay? So our big focus here is 3rd CC, 2 more barracks, and then 2 engineering bays. All right, we ready?
Third CC, yep, got it.
Yeah, 3rd CC, 2 more barracks, and then 2 E-bays. Let's do it.
Game resumed.
Reporting for action.
Ready to raise some hell.
So yeah, try to always box multiple SCVs when you're going to put structures down like that, even if you don't have the money, just so you don't have to keep queuing them back. Otherwise, you're going to waste a lot of APM individually selecting SCVs, yeah. So you can, even if sometimes I'll box like 4 SCVs, build barracks, queue back to minerals, and that interrupts the SCVs mining that weren't building barracks, but it's fine. So you're doing really great. You got the engineering bays. Next up is the double gas on the natural. Beautiful. Same thing there. You should have boxed a bunch of workers and gone build gas. That's going to be like a big APM saver, but you're doing great. We do need 2 more barracks next as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll notice it's kind of tough to do this while keeping up muling SCVs and all that sort of stuff. Those barracks are a little bit close to the other ones, but it'll be okay. There's no factory down there. So back at home. Oh,
Yep. Wasn't a complete wall.
it's okay. We're going to finish that wall, and we're going to swap the factory over and build a tech lab for itself.
For itself.
Yep, it's got to start building tanks. Biotank is our standard. We do that
So
every game.
don't switch it with the other tech lab.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We'll just leave that reactor there for now. We can start stim, start combat shields after that. But basically, just we'll queue them on that. Get the reactor on the
Okay.
starport.
Don't just switch it.
You can switch a barracks onto that. We don't need a reactor starport for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. So you would normally build a barracks on that reactor, and we get reactors only on the other barracks.
All of them.
Yep. Terran, TvZ, we always want mostly Marines. Guys on gas on the natural, let's get the orbital going. Keep building SCVs. All right, guys on gas, beautiful, good job. Start tanks, Marines, and upgrades. Engineering bay upgrades. Let's go, 1-1.
Add-on
All right,
complete.
now we've got to queue the Liberator, so let's go queue the Liberator. Oh, we accidentally built tech labs. Those were meant to all be reactors. Did I misspeak and say tech labs? I don't know. Either way, those are meant to all
Oh
be reactors.
no, I misclicked. Sorry.
Okay, that was a misclick. Good. Awesome. Don't worry about it. This is the end of the opening anyway.
Okay.
But that's the important thing, is remembering that order. 3rd CC, 2 more barracks, 2 engineering bays, 2 gases, 2 more barracks. Getting those reactors steadily, or getting the add-on swaps down. So normally we'd build one of those barracks on the reactor that factory was on. Factory swaps off, builds a tech lab, starts building a siege tank. I'm going to add that to the build order. Swaps off, builds tech lab, and then just tank production from there. Beautiful. And you'll find there's like natural little gaps in the production sometimes where you say, oh, I'm not under threat. I'm going to focus on getting my barracks all down at the right time so I don't get distracted or anything like that. But anyways, let's just hop out now. Let's
out,
GG
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Yep. I would let us play a little bit longer if we had the reactors, but that's cool.
No,
So
I screwed it up.
no, that's fine. We actually only want to go to 5, like about 6-7 minutes each game anyway, 7-8 minutes at the most, because we just want to get that order down. So we're gonna do the same thing here again.
Good deal. Good deal.
Same thing. Hold back till 8 minutes, please. Awesome. Same build order. So that was pretty damn good. That was pretty damn good. So there's like all these tiny little notes that as I'm coaching you on it are popping up. So I'm going to start writing some of them down. I'm like, at starport, and I'm going to put them under notes because like I don't want them to be part of the core build order, because if you end up doing it a separate way or having a separate trigger, that's fine. But at starport, send SCV that built it to start depot wall.
Got it.
And that becomes a depot builder, right? I think we talked about depot builders before, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
And then at some point later on, we'll add a second depot builder, but that guy will just be like a non-stop depot builder. So your tech lab, yeah. So basically, here's another thing. Check it out. After our Liberator, our starport should build a reactor as well. And then that'll time out. So 2nd and 3rd barracks can be built on / swap onto the factory and starport reactors. All right? Because your factory and your starport, after you built your 8 Hellions, you've built your Viking, your Lib, they don't need to do anything for a little bit. It's going to be a while before any roaches or anything can hit you. Obviously, they're, later on we'll learn, oh, he's all letting me get the fucking factory on a tech lab, build tanks, build a bunker. That's the reaction. But normally we don't need to worry. So normally it's so clean if we can get that 2nd and 3rd barracks and we just build them, float them straight onto, or build them. Ideally, it's always better if we can build straight on an add-on, right? It's just way less moving shit around. Build on that factory reactor with the barracks, get another barracks on a different one, and it should be awesome. So lots of little details to those add-on swaps. I'll try to remind you, it's really not too important. Those are like the little cherry on top of the cake, those little details, right? First of all, we need to make sure we actually cook the flour of the cake and, don't feed people some raw fucking dough or something. Like, let's just make sure we get the general order down, make sure we're disciplined on not looking at our hellbat pressure. And this is like this new way of learning StarCraft that we haven't really jumped into in a deep way before. So previously you took your cheesy builds to a whole new level in TVP, which is awesome. And I love that we push you to do that. But there's going to be much more macro and stuff which we can apply across all of our macro play as we get on top of this matchup. So yeah, good stuff. Let's get that gas down. You've got an extra SCV queued up.
Yep.
So that was an accident.
You
the extra
said
SCV.
16. You said 16 though, right?
For the barracks, yeah, but not for the refinery. The refinery should be 15. So let's
Okay.
restart really quickly just to get that down. 30
Okay.
seconds in, we lose almost no time. Hop out, play again, and this is going to be beautiful. If we were 2 minutes in and I realized that, obviously we wouldn't care. But I'm like, we're 30 seconds in. Who
it's fine,
cares?
it's fine.
This will be awesome. So yeah, 15 gas, 16 racks. Yeah,
We lost him real quick.
we lost him. No.
Oh, he's back. Good.
All right. Okay. Awesome. All right, 15 gas, 16 racks. Build order looked really good through the opening of that last game. Let's do it again. Hey guys, thank you so much for the support. We had a few subs at the start of this session. Jay Fisher, Tidal Wave, spelt very funnily. Epic Epidemic gifted a sub to Nightbot, and Smooth Like Butter subbed as well. Thank you so much, guys, for your huge generosity. I really appreciate it. Obviously, this is a player who's been very aggressive, wild, by feel, hitting from all sides, but is stuck in Diamond League and wants to improve. So we're really taking, helping Miss Piggy here,
Oh, yes.
who is not my girlfriend, as you guys can tell on the call, to a whole new level of working on macro play, memorizing the order. Yep, beautiful.
And then queue up another SCV.
Looking
Barracks, 2 spaces across.
Very nice. Just preparing there, saving ourselves future APM. War Turtle, welcome back to the pigsty. Thank you so much, dude. Much love for the support.
First. Cool.
So yeah, we can queue up to 19 SCVs once the barracks is down. And looking really good. Can you move the sub goal bar? Says locked. Why? There's nothing up there. We're on the game hard overlay, dude. I specifically moved it there so that I wasn't blocking any of this information down here.
Orbital Reaper. Second CC.
You're smart. No worries, locked. Okay, just checking I wasn't the one being the dummy. Good. Yep, and then we're going to bring in SCV down right after that starts to build the factory.
Command center upgrade complete.
Queue up the SCV. Very nice. Yeah, and then
Gas
remember it's
next.
the reactor's the most important,
Reactor.
but then second gas and depot. Very nice. Queue up another SCV. Remember, SCV production is more important than the depot there.
More important than Depot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very minor change. You're looking good. So we can micro the Reaper for a few seconds here. See if we can get a drone and then get the hell out of there. Alright, we can just leave. Let's put guys on gas.
Okay.
Very good. Alright, we can swap the add-ons, start the starport.
Add-on complete.
Try to start building your buildings in a real neat row right on top of each other. And don't have these random spaces in between, because it just ends up wasting more space. If you put them all three on top of each other, it chews up about, half of the space that you end up using here. Lower the other depot in your wall. Really important to not accidentally leave that up. And Hellion Rally should always be on top of your ramp or on your ramp. Never down in the open.
Really?
Yeah,
Really? Okay,
because especially if you're busy doing other things, because if you're on your ramp, it's much harder for them to surround you, and your Hellions will naturally get some really sick splash around the corner. All right, so we can build a Viking, keep building SCVs, and remember that SCV from the starport is going to start your wall off when you get the money. It's normally about 38 supply, 40 supply, anywhere around there is good for that. So focus on your SCVs a little bit here. It's okay to have a gap or two in your Hellion production. More important to be building those SCVs, and we can get those next two Hellions when we get a chance. So we don't need to hit the Hellbat timing crazy fast, but one more Hellion, very good. And what we're going to do is we always go the Liberator first, and then the armory. So cue the
Okay.
Liberator, and then start the armory after that.
SCV ready. Ready to raise some hell. Ready to raise
All right, so we can go across the map with our Hellions. Getting, we need that armory. Sorry, haven't got that started yet. Remember, after the Liberator starts, we should be getting the armory like right after it.
Yeah.
So that's totally fine. Like I said, we're actually not in a rush. So we do need 2 more Hellions, or 1 more. And then we want to get, remember, the next part of the macro, while we're waiting for all the armory and stuff, is going to be 3rd CC, then 2 more barracks. So we can finish that wall with a nice 3rd CC when we get the chance. And this is going to work out really well. Alright, so that wall's not finished, but that's okay. We'll ignore that and pretend it is this time.
Okay.
We'll swap the factory off, start a reactor on the starport. And remember, we want to start our 2 barracks. Yep, no, factory builds its own tech lab. Yeah, sorry, the barracks actually stays on the tech lab. Yeah. You want
Factory, yeah,
to
stays on the tech
build a reactor on the starport, and you got to build
Okay.
2 more barracks. 1 on the reactor, 1 on the starport. It'll swap onto the starport's reactor.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. A move your Hellbats. So Hellbats morph and A move. Remember, that should normally be to the natural, but that's okay. And Q your Liberator to siege, and then we're going to go focus on the macro.
Complete.
SCV ready.
Okay.
Okay.
So we need 2 engineering bays because we've gone the CC, we've gone the 2nd and 3rd barracks. So don't look at the
2 more
fighting
gases.
at all. Yep, 2 more gases and then 2 more barracks, which we can get in a nice, neat row
Add-on.
somewhere. Yeah. Okay, we can start stim. Don't look at the fighting no matter what you do. You
Okay.
can, that starport can swap off and build another reactor for itself.
Stations.
SCV ready.
Mineral field.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So just focus on your macro for a minute here, and you're doing really good.
Heating up out here.
Just getting all these little boxes ticked off. Very, very nice.
Want some.
Yeah. He's getting a little bit more comfortable with it, guys. Lots of details that he
Should
needs
I
to still work on.
Orbital command first or move it?
Always orbital first. Always orbital first. And
Okay.
you know, we might not even take that 3rd straight away. Just get the tank started, you know, get your barracks set up. Really just focus on all the things you need to get set up here. This is a natural vulnerable point where we don't really want to move out to the 3rd until we've just taken a second to get a siege tank on the high ground, somewhere on the, you know, the corner. And then we've got the 5 barracks, queuing up Marines.
Add-on.
And this is, you know, just really, really nice here. So just keep building lots and lots of Marines. Now, we've only actually got 4 barracks, so we accidentally forgot how... oh, no, it's floated down there. That's where it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I screwed up. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, the classic tell it to land and then set a rally point and accidentally
That is
tell it to
exactly what
do.
happened.
We've all done that many times before. So yeah, you should be sieging your tank on the high ground between your natural and your 3rd.
Oh, okay.
So if you took the other 3rd, it would actually be in your main base. A siege tank could cover both your natural and your 3rd quite well, but either way is fine. And medevacs definitely need to keep queuing up, but mostly Marines actually. Marines is the biggest thing here. Remember, you got a lot of reactors, so we need to be queuing up tons of Marines here. And queuing up combat shields as well. Combat shields, and then 2-2 when that one's finished. Now, what you want to do is your next pressure after the opening is going to be Marines, medevacs, clearing creep. We're not going to bother with that just yet. Just focus on your macro. More Marines queued up. You need to get used to holding that A key down a little bit more. And yeah, really making sure we've got heaps of Marines queued up. You can build 10 at a time. Okay, so we've got that 3rd rallied to. Let's take the gases on that 3rd.
Go, go, go.
Upgrade.
Bam, 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 bam.
Game paused.
Okay.
Time to define the next piece of the build. What's our 3-base production?
Our 3
So, like, it depends what we want to do. Do we want to go heavy tanks? Like, a standard thing here would be basically to go 2nd factory for more tank production. And then 2 more barracks with tech labs to add more
Right now, I
marauders.
would be terrified of banelings because I have so many Marines. So I would probably have a factory with a reactor building widow mines that are upgraded with their drilling claws to take those widow mine engagements. That's just what I'm thinking, though.
Yeah, I mean, well, we kind of said let's focus more on biotank last week, so let's focus
Okay.
more on that for now. And
That's fine. It's fine.
For the future, I want you to focus definitely at some point on saying, oh, against Lingbane Muta, let's go mines. Lingbane Hydra mines aren't nearly as good because it's very hard to actually push through. But if you see mutas, you can say, oh, I'll start a Thor, drilling claws. The second factory can build a reactor, and that can be like a set little branch off based off what you see. For now, even if you see Muta Lingbane, I want you to just build tanks because we want to focus on execution rather than strategy right now. Because realistically, the difference of like the advantage of Thor mine rather than tank is pretty minimal. It's like one of those edges where a 5% edge in StarCraft is massive, right? But right now, our execution is like, 30% below where it could be. So there's like way bigger gains just to focusing on like, no, let's just go Marine tank every game. So either way, this transition will work with the Widow mines down the track as well. With the next thing, so I'm adding this just below the transition. I'm leaving a little space gap in your document. I'm writing second factory, 2 more barracks with tech labs. So basically, if you find you always float a ton of money, maybe you go 3 more barracks with tech labs. The idea there is you can add more marauders later on. But basically, just Marine tank works really well, especially if we get that good tank count up. So that'll be the next kind of production that we add on here as well. So we're going to hop back in game in a sec. We're going to start 2-2. Our 1-1 just finished. We've got shields on the way. We've got our third base getting saturated. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish our 3-base saturation entirely. So what does that mean? It means keep building SCVs for just a little bit more. We need about 10 more SCVs. Put dudes on the gas on your third straight away. Even if the gases aren't finished, it's good to just like get these actions done, right? We just want to like get our macro finished. We are building depots 2 at a time in your main base. But we have been in the habit of sometimes queuing them back. Let's make sure we just keep those queuing up more and more depots in that main. So saturating the third. More and more depots. And then we need a second factory and 2 more barracks when we can get it. Okay?
Got it.
Awesome. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Game resumed.
Yeah, queue up extra SCVs. At this point, you're just kind of queuing up like 6, 7 SCVs at a time. 2-2 needs to start and keep building those depots. Yeah, 2-2 is super high priority. So we didn't have enough gas for the armor there. So let's make sure we do remember to start that armor at some point in the near future.
Just started it.
SCV ready.
So we just started 1 barracks. Really bad habit. Remember, always 2 barracks right on top of each other at a time. Otherwise, you're going to forget to build the add-ons and stuff, and it'll just never happen. Because the game, at this stage, it becomes so important for you to look at your army all the time, right? So from now, we want to say, okay, our production's all ready. It's all control group. We've got 2-2 on the way. We're building tanks. We're going to add another tech lab and start more tank stuff. But from that point, you just basically look at where their 4th is. So I want you to scan the bottom base below the main. Check that the 4th is there. Cool. We're going to push towards that. So we're going to push in that direction. And when we get to the edge of creep, we're just going to pre-spread our units in a giant pre-spread. While we're moving out, we can be pretty chilled. Keep getting the tech labs on the factory and the extra barracks back at home. Keep building depots. And you want to be holding down that A key like a madman. Tons of Marines and tanks and medevacs. We forgot to unsiege our tanks at home. So, get those over there.
Everything.
You're on creep. Get back. Get back
Okay.
and spread the fuck out. As soon as you get to creep, you spread everything out. Siege your units. Where's the stim? Let's go. So if we were pre-spread there, we would have crushed that a bit more. As it is, we still take an okay trade, even though there was a few magic banelings that killed like 20 Marines. There was a lot that got gunned down. So we want to just keep sieging up our tanks, keeping our units spread, and we never want to use our entire control group here.
Okay.
So more tanks, more Marines, keep macroing. And every now and then, you box a few Marines in a medevac, you stim them forward, scan, kill some creep, and then run back. But you never move your entire army on creep, okay? So keep massing tank, Marine, Marauder here. You can build a 4th base on location somewhere in the middle of the map behind this. That's always a nice way to do it. Yeah, just kind of drop command centers. And if you ever find yourself with like 2,000 minerals, you'd box a bunch of SCVs and you'd just go build like 4 command centers on location, turn them into planetaries. If the Zerg lets that happen, they're pretty fucked. So come on, keep building Marines, tanks, and I want you to branch through the middle with those Marines like we talked about. You can go way deeper with those Marines. If you lose 8 Marines, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But they're stim Marines, they're super agile, so you can just pull them back now. And then we want to do the same thing on the south side. grab a few Marines, stim, clear that creep. Remember, we want to clear the path to the 4th base. That's our kind of goal.
Mineral field completed.
Bring the reinforcements. So rather than... when a fight happens, if you're pre-stimmed well enough, all you need to do is press the stim key. And if you focus on just reinforcing and queuing up a billion Marines, like right now we could be queuing... well, we do need tech labs on those extra barracks. We never added those. We don't really need SCVs at this stage.
Okay.
Just tons of Marines, Marauders, get concussive shells, get 3-3. Yeah, it's really easy to forget concussive. And keep rallying tanks. You've got 2 factories, yeah, so everything should be rallied down to the front. And keep spreading your units out. So we don't want to actually set our rally point to the front of the bat, but we do once in a while want to pull the units. But most importantly, siege the tanks at the front, spread them all out, spread the Marines like crazy. Most of your Marines should be spread kind of behind the front line of tanks, but this is looking pretty nice. You got a good idea of how to do it. More Marines. We want to hold down that A key, my friend. Planetary Fortress on the front, and you took gases on the front base. You usually never need gases past your 3rd base for a very long time.
Okay.
Basically, it's just mineral bases from there. Yeah, you're doing really good. All right, keep rallying more and more, bringing these units forward. Keep building tons of Marine tank.
Search complete.
And let's think about, okay, scanning the main base of our opponent. So you see a Hive morphing and a Spire.
Yep.
So Broodlord's Ultras will be out in the next couple of minutes. So we want to start inching these tanks forward on the south side towards this 4th base. Now we just want to try and kill him before he gets there. That's the main focus. If you want, you can start building Vikings, but yeah, we should be going south towards the 4th. You never want to get stuck into this zone of just sitting in the middle of the map. We want to be pushing that creep back on the south side. We want to be slowly inching those tanks forward and just methodically clearing our way into the Zerg's territory, okay?
Mineral field completed.
Keep holding down that A key, bringing more reinforcements here.
Mineral field completed.
More Marines, more Marauders. Bring everything down to the front. Let's make sure all those structures are rallied to the front of your base. We forgot to set the rally point after we built our last units. So we've got a bunch of units in our main. And keep massing Marine Marauder. Yep, drop another command center. Each time he fights into you like that, a ton of Banelings go down. Unless he has a huge economy, he will get worn down. You just need to methodically keep setting up this spread. And remember not to clump your shit up. Like, we just ran a few too many Marines forward there. So it does kind of expose them. Whereas we want him to have to go deep into tank line fire, and then he can kill those Marines, right?
Okay.
So just keep doing that, keep reinforcing, and you've got so much room for error here. You can start building Vikings, since your medevac count's pretty awesome. But most importantly, just keep dropping mules on your front, keep moving these units forward, tons of Marines, and just keep steadily moving through the middle. And this is what we call a parade push. Because you're just marching forward and you don't give a fuck what's happening. Doesn't matter. Maybe you're protesting, I don't know, something controversial. Like, oh, you don't like soldiers going to war or some shit. People like, you know, you're like, don't kill people. It's terrible. And everyone hates you. And they're like, dude, don't fucking hate on these people who've probably already been through some terrible shit. Yada, yada. I don't know. You're protesting some other shit. We don't care. This is a parade. We're legally sanctioned. We are allowed to parade and say all people that believe in different things to us should die. We can say whatever the fuck we want. This is our parade. This is the Terran parade. This is the parade where it is like, we just do not give a fuck. So consolidate those units on the south side. Right now, your army is spread across 4 screens. Most of it's not sieged. You want to be inching in range of that 4th base. And yeah, keep queuing up. Yeah, we can kill that as well. We're in range of both. But just spread those units. Spread. Siege. Just be really methodical with it. The whole point is we don't give a fuck what the Zerg does. We just basically say, I'm going to set up here, and you're going to feel pressured to fight into me. And we just keep doing this, and macroing and spending more. Keep queuing up Vikings, remember? Very important. And we can drop a few starports at home, or a Ghost Academy, depending on what you prefer. But most importantly, is
Ghosts
just keep
are so
pushing.
bad now. After they took Snipe away.
Oh, you just got to be very turtly. But yeah, don't worry. If you're not good with them, it's like the most patient unit of all time. Keep inching those tanks forward. You're way up in supply right now. Now you don't actually know that, But what's a cool thing we could have added in is a random drop that we went around the north side of the map would have been great. We don't need to care about that. Right now, you're just getting used to the parade push. Get those tanks moving forward, keep clearing that creep, grab these chunks of bio, box them manually, move them forward a few at a time, and, yeah. All right. Keep moving deeper now. So when your opponent's like taken so many kind of washing up into the tanks, if they've never dislodged you, it basically means the Zerg's infinitely behind. Now he's got Broodlords, that's fine. Mass Marines and Vikings. Consolidate your whole Bioforce together. And if we can stim on those Broodlords, we can kill it. But we don't actually have a lot of Marines with our army right now. So let's unsiege. Let's go home for now. Let's go back and wait for more units.
All the way back home?
Yep. You can load a few drops and split them into... Yeah, you can into the middle of the map, not all the way home. But we want mostly Marines and Vikings building. If you want, you can split a few drops. Otherwise, or you can split units off to go around the edges of the map and snipe his bases. But otherwise, we have to look for an engagement. So if you're going to fight, you need to figure out a big open area, lure him into the open and stim on him. So we want to be using scans. We want to be using positioning. You take that whenever whenever you feel like it. You see Broodlords in the open like that, naked? We should be getting rid of those tanks, yeah, and just going. Anytime he's in the open. Now, if we came from two sides, it would have been way more godlike, but this will work. Yep, get right under there. Oh, yeah. Where's the support? Katawa, no. Good job, man.
Wow. Yeah, no, I have never played a game like that before.
Exactly. It's very different.
No, it's just an entirely different style. This is great. This is great, though.
It forces you to just macro well, right? Like it's like
I'm so used to just playing a micro-intensive, cheesy game, and I'm not used to focusing on macro like that. So and especially like losing a bunch of units to banelings and not caring. Like for me, if I lost that many Marines to banelings, that would have been like not just my whole army, but I would be in no position to replace them. This is different. It's like the units are expendable because you've got so much more at home and you can just keep making more of them, right?
Exactly. And anytime you get to maintain that position in the middle, the Zerg is fucked. If you're able to just sit off the edge of creep and the Zerg keeps fighting into it but never dislodges your army, that's only ever part of your army as a Terran, and that's always their whole army as the Zerg. So that gives you a big piece of information as to their position. And each time they engage, they don't quite clear the tanks or the mines, those tanks get recycled. They get more shots off in the next fight, more shots off in the next fight. And that's how we end up with the units lost tab you had in that game. You were more than doubly as efficient. You lost 12,000 resources. Katawa lost 26,500. So just insane levels of efficiency because he never dislodged the push. Now, don't get me wrong, just because you're macroing this hard doesn't mean your lost tab's going to look like that all the time. If he went mauling Bane and had just enough Ling Bane to really flank one of those pushes and crush it, it could look the other way. It could be much more even for the Zerg. But whenever they end up with Banelings and Hydras washing into Siege Tank Marine off creep and not being able to clear it, it's like, oh, the Zerg production tab, like their units lost tab just looks so bad. Like Lings are what really can get on top and kill stuff, or at least hold it still so the Banelings can, and there's that kind of combo. But that was pretty sick because this is obviously like the most tilted towards like just work on your macro, try to overwhelm.
Yeah.
We can peel this back a little bit as you get more experienced at it. But that's weeks down the track. I want you to really focus on this style. This is how I learned macro style TvZ as well. It was really like just start the parade push and get that down. Now, like there's all sorts of little things. I'm gonna write like a few little notes. Like depot wall your third base is pretty huge, right? That game, we're just setting up units in the middle. What if he keeps rolling Ling Bane into our third mineral line? Like having a wall there, potentially a bunker. So depot wall third base plus bunker is big. If our opponent keeps counterattacking, we set up a siege tank somewhere, like at our third and maybe at our natural or something, right? If they keep committing to lots of counterattacks. We get better at putting marine spotters, right? Marine spotters on flanks to see if he goes for giant counterattack or backstab instead of fighting into our spread. Pre-spreading is so powerful though. Like your first push in the middle, there was like a big clump of Marines that weren't properly pre-spread and they just got savaged by the Banes.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
that sort of thing, if he has another 30 Zerglings in that fight, you get punished really hard and you lose a lot of momentum and it's hard to get back into that position. But I like that we were able to kind of do the opening a bit better this game, not really look at it too much, focus on the macro behind it, which is just going to take more and more games to get that order down. And remember, what are you doing in your replay? Open the replay, check, you got your list you're checking. Maybe write it down even on a post-it or something. You're like, third CC, then 2 barracks, then knee bays, then gas, then 2 more barracks. And you're going to find games, you just do it in a different order. And be really fucking strict on yourself. Be like, don't do that, man. Stop it. No. just be like, no, let's always do it the same way so that we can really let that muscle memory form and let it just be this automatic thing. And you're going to have games when you get really good and you get more reps at this opening where the macro all just clicks and everything lines up and you know, it just, you feel so good because you're never getting supplier blocked and everything. Like, you're like, holy shit. My first, next pressure, by the way, after held that lib, I was saying it during the game, but we skipped it that game. 2 medevacs and 16 Marines. And they'll have like stim, their 1-1 and their shields will finish soon after that. But basically you can just go forward. And what are we always doing? Start clearing the push path.
Yeah.
So we're always saying, where's his 4th base? It's there. This is our push path. And we know that's, because it's very easy when we're doing this parade push to just kind of start setting our shit up in a random spread in the middle of the map where it's not really threatening anything and just go, cool, here's my shit. And the Zerg's like, oh, I don't need to fight into that. And they start going around and you're like, shit. But yeah, if you can clear the creep and slow it down earlier, then when your push comes, and normally you're moving out and your 2-2s maybe halfway or 2/3 done when you're pushing out, right? And you've got like 5 tanks and a ton of Marines. So you're kind of coming forward and you're not really wanting to fight yet. That's why we don't step on creep. But ideally, if everything lines up, we've cleared creeps. We've got like 1 tank just in range of the hatch or almost in range. So a little squad of bio can stim just in front of our tanks and start hitting the hatchery at the 4th. And we've got this beautiful pre-spread and 2-2s just kicked in. And we've got the extra barracks in the factory, so we're building more tanks. More Marauders are coming to the front, so the longer our opponent delays, the more tanking and splash damage we have with our army. So the scarier that fight gets. But our 2-2s just kicked in. Maybe our upgrades are faster than our opponents. So like we see like all these things line up, and we're kind of going, you need to fight or you're going to lose your 4th base, buddy. And they start going, fuck! And that's where things go really, really well. The next step beyond that, so that's when your macro lines up well, is you're going to play these cheesy fuckers who keep trying to run Zerglings in your natural, and you're going to be like,
I was just about to say that.
yeah, you're going to be better and better at being like, okay, my Hellions are going across, and 3rd CC finishes the wall off right now, and I'm making sure I got these 2 Hellions behind the wall, and his Lings are like, fuck, we can't get in, you know. So you're going to get more and more focus on your wall off. So memorize your wall offs and always leave space for the CC. To kind of try and finish that wall off is a big part of it, right? On some maps, you know, you might have a gas or minerals kind of close. So you got to build your depots on the stat side where it's next to the gas or the minerals, because you can't build the command center right next to the resources, of course. So you leave the other side open for the command center. You also, we even see this in pro play sometimes, people just leave a fucking gap. They think the command center on the corner is, it's a diagonal between the command center and the edge, and then the Lings just come in. So I often test my wall. Even after I put it down, I'm like, is that? And I try to run the SCV out, and the SCV just slides right out this corner of the wall, and I'm like, fuck. And I put another depot down there. So memorize your wall offs, and yeah.
So question. So I noticed in that game he just kept headbutting into my tanks and Marines. But what if he just went around? Like, what if he just went around, Banleen busted the wall, and just and then the Zerglings just came in?
Your amount of production is actually obscene. So whenever they go around, say he goes around with his entire army, yeah, he might be able to overwhelm you, but a lot of the time you'll find you actually have 20 Marines and a wall off. And 20 Marines with stim and a wall off is actually, like, it takes a ton of Ling Bane to get through that. And especially if you get a second factory up, you've got 2 tanks building at all times. There's a good chance you're going to have... Yeah, you're going to have a good chance 1 or 2 tanks is popping out kind of as they're getting there. So... Are you always going to be 100% prepared for that? No. But as you get better, and I put that note down in your document, Marine spotters on the flanks to see if they go for a giant counterattack is huge, right? Another little thing is always add a single dropship or liberator on the opposite side of the map to stress the Zerg, and basically, and what does it do? What does that do? It forces their APM elsewhere, stresses them, and potential huge damage for minimal investment, right? Why is that so big, especially? Why do I like it as a Liberator? Because a Liberator takes fucking no micro. You don't need to look at it, right? 8 Marine drop, it's cheap if you lose it. Tough titties, whatevs. It can also do a lot more damage, though. 8 Marines, if they get in an empty naked mineral line, it's like, gun, all the drones die. But it takes more APM, and we want all our focus on the front. As you get better, you'll start mixing in that Liberator or that dropship, and your opponent will feel so stressed by these units pushing forward the creep, this other drop on the other side of the map. Just splitting their units to defend those 2 locations is going to freak them out. Splitting units to also backstab you becomes very, very stressful for them. If we start adding Marine spotters on the edges of the map a little bit, or kind of just watching out front, we start adding that depot wall on the 3rd base with a bunker that we just always have every game. If we keep our production smooth, that's going to be big. One of the biggest problems Terran players have with backstabs below pro level, and I die to this all the time, is we forget to build depots, and we're so focused on microing the front. And we go, fuck, there's a backstab, that's okay. I haven't brought units from my base for a few minutes. There should be a good army, and you've got like 8 Marines sitting there, and nothing's been building. But if you keep your production solid, or you've just forgot to queue up Marines, one or the other. If you keep your production solid, there's almost always this army just popping out at this crazy rate, and that almost naturally defends you from backstabs unless they run their whole army around. In which case, hopefully we get wind of that, and hopefully they don't have the room to do it. So it gets into a really complex scenario. If you find a Zerg who keeps giving up bases and expanding to the other side of the map and refusing to fight into your spread and backstabbing, and there's like an entire skill set to fighting that sort of game, I don't think you'll face it too much. You'll naturally figure some shit out as you do. Some games you'll play well, some you'll fall apart, as is naturally the case. But just try to look for the little details. Be like, fuck, why was I so blindsided by this? Or why did I have so few units? Was it just a matter of try and get a bit better on the production? Don't tunnel vision on the front so much. Should I have realized when he tried to backstab that I could actually just unsiege my tanks, run into his natural, and siege up like right in between all of his bases and start killing everything? So even if he kills all the SCVs on my 3rd, as long as I get some tanks up in my main base behind my main wall, even if I lose my natural and my 3rd, he's losing everything and I win the game. There's all these crazy calculations. So start analyzing those replays, looking for them. But this all starts with big macro, and the number of games where you just roll over your opponent like a goddamn gargantuan steamroller. That is also, you'll feel a bit clanky because you'll be throwing armies away and units away and be like, fuck. But you'll also get this newfound confidence of I can do that and I can still win. Holy shit, this is new, this is weird. And when we can start throwing less armies away and still having the macro, that's where we feel like a god.
Okay. Yeah, this is great. I'm just going to drill this for a week.
Fuck yeah, man. And this is cool. This is cool. I think all these skills are very carryover ones. At the same time, continue to be patient. Don't expect your MMR to jump up. If you start winning 50% of your games, even where you are now, a couple hundred MMR lower than you were, that's awesome. But I want you to just, once again, the goalposts are not looking at the harassment and your engagements. The goalposts are focusing on your macro, doing it in the right order, and keep working towards that. If you want to benchmark, maybe look for when you move out with your big bio tank timing with like 2-2 on the way, your 3 bases are established, and look at what timer you're hitting to that point. How many SCVs do you have? How many tanks do you have? Are your upgrades done? And you can start writing that down. So you can always go to the 12-minute mark of every game and say, oh, did I hit it? I was 30 seconds late. Oh, I was 40 seconds faster. Start to just give yourself a real easy way to weigh up how well you're performing. Awesome.
Awesome.
All right, man. I am excited. You're going to have a lot of challenges with this. This is the hardest way of learning StarCraft. Just macro, reactive awesomeness. You're going to die to some cheeses as well. Try to kind of ignore them and don't get too focused on them. You lose to a cheese, shrug your shoulders, go to the next game. Very simple thing. Oh, we see something that looks very cheesy. Okay, maybe we build a tank a little bit sooner. That's it. Otherwise, just keep doing your thing, and I think you're going to be doing really good, man.
Okay. How good or bad would this build order be against other races?
Right, if we want to just work on it. We're opening up with what? Hellions. I mean, if you're doing it against Protoss, you just wouldn't morph Hellbats. you'd
Right.
basically just be doing, Hellion run by shenanigans. You'd probably want to
yeah.
squeeze like a Widow Mine. I mean, you're getting a Viking reasonably early, but you probably want to squeeze a Widow Mine in as well to stop against oracles. But otherwise, yeah, you could do that. It's just like, hey, Hellions are fucking running in here, Liberator sieging your main. That might actually work okay.
I think TvT
Going into
this
bio
would
tank.
probably be hardest.
Yeah, you don't really want to be. I mean, it could still
Just because
work.
of the heavy reapers.
Yeah.
Just because of the heavy.
I think you'd
the
be
heavy
fine in the early game.
Hellions.
I think it's just I think you'd actually be able to do this in all 3 matchups quite well, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily focus on it too much, but if you want to, you can give it a go, have a few games with it, see how it goes. I would say, yeah, there's some things that'll be bad against, but like TvT, it's fine because Biotank's what you want anyway in that matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, a really well executed Tank Viking Raven push might ruin you, but that's pretty rare that people hit that with a tight timing.
That's like everybody on the TvT diamond right now.
Yeah, they're committing hard to it. Okay.
Yeah. Like you see a few different builds. Like one of them, some people start with Marauders. Another one is that they start with tanks and Ravens to shut down your tanks, and then come in. That hits pretty quickly.
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Yeah, so you might struggle versus some. Who knows? Maybe you'll pull SCVs and jump on those, and the Hellion Splash will ruin them. Might work out. Liberator Harass is pretty good in TvT. Give it a go. Biotank works in all 3 matchups.
Yeah.
So yeah, good luck. Have fun, man.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Write down as many notes as possible. I love that you wrote down some prep for this session. Keep it up, and I'll see you. I think it's a couple of weeks till our next one, is it?
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
All right, awesome. Good. I think it's good. Give you a longer break to really grind out on this, and I'll
Agreed.
see you in 2 weeks, man.
Cool. See you then.
Have a good night.
Thanks. You too. Bye.